What's up, everybody? This is Steven Robles from AppleInsider. Today I'm going to tell you why I am upgrading to the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, the 2021 model, now with an M1 chip. Crazy power. You know, I've been using an M1 MacBook Pro since they came out. I got a 16 gigs of RAM, M1, terabyte hard drive, and that MacBook Pro has served all of my needs. I do Final Cut on there, I edit these videos for AppleInsider, do all my other work on there, and now you can get an iPad Pro with an M1 with the same specs as the M1 MacBook Pro, which is just crazy. Now, I use an iPad for podcast editing multiple times a week. I edit several shows, so I do a lot of that on there. Plus, I do some photography and I use Lightroom on my iPad. And so especially with that new Liquid Retina XDR screen, I think that new 12.9-inch iPad is going to be incredible for certain creators, especially those of you who might be on the road or traveling, or if you're a photographer or videographer, you're probably out and about lots of different places. I think the new 12.9-inch iPad has some great features that are going to help you out. So I've been using this iPad. This is the 2018 iPad Pro. I did an update in 2020 for the A12Z. This was still serving my needs, and it does really well. This is the 11-inch, and I'm definitely excited about that larger screen with the Liquid Retina XDR. But this one, believe it or not, most people don't run into CPU or power issues on an iPad. They're not doing that kind of intense creative work. But with a lot of the podcasting that I do, especially if I want to do like a split screen or a side-by-side app, I actually do run into some slowdowns and freezing when I'm trying to edit and do something else in a multiple app. I'm going to show you some of my tasks that I think the new 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro is really going to stand out. First of all, one of the apps I really spend some time in on my iPad is Lightroom. When I'm editing photos, whether that's for a product review at AppleInsider or just photos of people. And I think the Lightroom app is really going to benefit from the Thunderbolt 3 port and USB 4. It's a combo port now. This iPad, the 2018 and the 2020, did not have Thunderbolt. It was just USB-C. And you could get okay transfer speeds, but with that new Thunderbolt 3 port and USB 4, you're going to be able to transfer photos, audio, videos off an SD card a lot faster. This was a review of some PodSwap AirPods that I did a while ago. And again, while it's pretty speedy and you can make adjustments, when you're batch editing photos, maybe applying effects to many different photos and exporting those to either the Files app or somewhere else, that M1 is going to make a big difference on the speed and whether or not you're waiting around, waiting for those photos to export. And to test out that Thunderbolt 3 USB 4 port, I actually have this OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock. It's got a bunch of USB-A ports on the back, including an additional Thunderbolt port to connect another peripheral, plus a display, power, and Ethernet. So if you're an iPad first user and you want to straight up use your iPad as a computer with Ethernet, you can do that with a dock like this one. And then on the front of the dock, you have another USB-C port, USB-A, headphones, and SD card reader. Now this will probably sit on your desk if you're an iPad Pro first user, but you can use the same kind of hubs and portable dongles to get that SD card photos, audios, video onto your iPad in the field. The app I spend the most time in is actually called Ferrite from Wooji Juice. I interviewed the developer on the AppleInsider podcast. I encourage you to check out that episode. We'll put a link in the description. He even talks about where he got the name Wooji Juice from. It's pretty funny. But Ferrite for the iPad Pro is where I edit all my podcasts, the AppleInsider podcast, HomeKit Insider podcast. Now, Ferrite does a great job of applying real-time effects like EQ and compressor. So while I'm editing, I can hear what those settings are going to be doing in post. But it can be a little processor intensive at times as well. And I can see, one, battery life definitely takes a hit when I'm using Ferrite for a long period of time, especially with multiple tracks, several effects on each track. Then when I want to export it or get my chapters ready, that's when I really see performance on the 2018 model take a hit. One of the things I do is I do a side-by-side app. As you can see, it's already lagging right now, struggling to do the side-by-side apps. Let me try again. The side-by-side app does not want to happen. So this is one of the things that I'm hoping the M1 iPad Pro with 16 gigs of RAM, if you go with the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte version of the new iPad Pro, you get 16 gigs of RAM. That's the max that you can get on a MacBook Pro right now. Once I do get it in this side-by-side mode, now I can start dragging links back and forth. I can make my chapters. I go over here with my finished show notes with all the links, and I just tap and drag it over here. I usually export it to the Files app on the iPad and then go to my podcast hosting from there. And that can take a minute. So I'm really thinking that M1 with 16 gigs of RAM, I can actually let that export, it'll export quickly and keep working in that Note app or start doing the show notes, whatever it may be, save some time there. One of the other great features of the new iPad Pros is you can get 5G cellular data built in. Now you can get cellular data on past iPads and maybe you got good speeds there, but if you're in a good 5G Wi-Fi coverage area, or if you could even find ultra wideband somewhere here in the US, to be able to use those 5G speeds to upload photos to the cloud, maybe even upload a video to the cloud right from the iPad Pro, you'll be able to send those previews to a client or someone while you're still in the field. You don't have to wait forever, and that might be great for photographers and videographers as well. So as a creator, and if you're a mobile creator, especially photographer, videographer, maybe you just don't like being at a computer, you rather sit on the sofa and edit on an iPad. That's actually what I prefer to do. I think the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro with that XDR screen for photographers and videographers is going to make a big difference as far as the creator tools that you have access to. Remember, if you want to get those 16 gigs of RAM as a mobile creator, you do need to get the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte storage option on the iPad Pro. The new iPad Pro goes on sale Friday, April 30th. It's probably going to go pretty quickly. Right now, it's not looking like until mid or late May that they'll actually be available in stores and start shipping. Again, with all the processor and CPU shortages, it might be a little while. So I would get your order in if you were looking at getting one. I know I'm going to try and get that 12.9-inch ASAP as when they go on sale. I'm looking forward to editing some podcasts on there, doing some photography editing, and trying some video editing. I would love for Apple to bring Final Cut to the iPad finally. Maybe we'll see it at WWDC this year, 2021, which would be amazing, but there are other great pro apps for the iPad. Apple actually showed off the app LumaFusion during the event as they were announcing the M1 iPad Pro. And so there are definitely some pro apps available for the iPad Pro. So even if we don't see Final Cut soon on the iPad Pro, there are great apps that you can use to edit with, whether it's podcast, videos, or photos. You have Adobe Premiere Rush as well, plus Lightroom like I mentioned. So for the creator, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro I think is going to be a great option. We'll of course be covering it here on Apple Insider. As soon as I get one, I'm going to be putting it through its paces, finding out what it's like to edit podcasts on there, photos, maybe even video. I'm sure Andrew will be having videos going up too. But let me know, what questions do you have about the new iPad Pro? Are you going to be getting one? I would love to interact with you guys in the comments below on this video. Leave a comment there. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the Apple Insider YouTube channel, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of all our new videos. Don't forget to check out the Apple Insider podcast that comes out every Friday. HomeKit Insider comes out every Monday. We talk about smart home devices and HomeKit, plus Apple Insider Daily. You can get the top Apple news headlines in just a few minutes every day. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.